Good morning, folks, and welcome to Coffee with Cliff. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Good morning. How is everybody? Thank you for anybody who bothered to join me this early on a Sunday. So, I am digging around my basement looking for stuff and also looking for good background music. There we go. All right. So, some of you may have heard me mention this game. This versus system game, especially the other day when I was on with Brian LCS over on his channel. So there we have it. So there's this card game featuring both DC and Marvel characters. In fact, it was one of the top 5 selling card games of its time. And their Infinite Crisis, it was Infinite Crisis. Their Infinite Crisis set actually was award-winning for a card game. Like, really impressive. And Upper Deck just threw all that away because they got really excited to make a World of Warcraft card game that they never even held on to because they were too busy making bogus Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and Konami got really upset with them. Google it and look it up. Yeah, it's one of the cards from the Exiles as well. There's Mimic and Sabretooth going at it. But I really, really, really love this game. I spent a lot of time with this game. This game is also the origin of me doing any podcasting whatsoever. These gentlemen over at oh my God, I can't remember the name of the original podcast, but Richard Vaughn is one of them. Anyhow, me and this other commenter from, Versus Realms, which was a message board website, and it's kind of been archived, but I think HeroClix Realms is still out there. But yeah, we would just comment and be like, oh, this card is from this art is from that. This is this was part of an event. And so they're like, hey, you guys want to do your own podcast about Versus? So Squire and I just kind of got paired up together, and it's like, yeah, you got to do the Ring is Chosen, and that was our thing, and that was our thing for maybe a couple years. And I was super into it, and I was traveling, and I went to Origins in 2007. Oh my God, it was 2008. I think it was the year after my father passed away, and I was just I'm like, hey, strangers from the message board, let's meet up. Let's meet up at the train station near where I live, and I'll drive us out to the middle of the country. So we'll go play games at this place. But that's the beautiful thing about, online communities. You meet people, you make relationships, and, and you build relationships with people who are pretty cool. And you make a lot of new friends. I also, digging around the basement, found some long boxes, and I still have no idea what's in there. So I figure it'd be fun. Let's just go through one and see what is randomly inside. Batman Superman number 14. Who knew? You know what? I'm not sure I like this. Let's change things up. You know what? Let's drop the background. Let's reveal that I have a mess. I'm still renovating the downstairs. It's a whole thing. It's really a whole thing. Eventually, this background will change. Also, I'm not sure I particularly care for my camera being reversed. I mean, it's really good for stuff like touching my face, but, whatever. All right, so Superman Batman 14. This is where actually the Legion of Supervillains had time traveled and raised Batman and Superman themselves and really did a number on time. Hawkman number 34. Man, I'm like, I love how I have no idea what's in here. Teen Titans number 18, Titans Tomorrow storyline from Jeff Johns. Where did this box come from? Marvel Age Halloween special featuring Spider-Man. JLA 108. Now, this features the Crime Syndicate. This storyline is actually the sequel storyline to JLA versus Avengers by George Perez and Busiek. Yeah, right, it is Kurt Busiek. So Kurt Busiek wrote this JLA storyline as a sequel to his story of JLA versus Avengers. So, like, the Crime Syndicate world noted some crazy changes after those events, and they don't get into all the shenanigans about, like, the Marvel heroes and stuff, but they're like, hey, you guys were screwing around and you discovered something and it caused problems for us and we didn't like it and we're coming for you. JLA Classified number 1 by Grant Morrison and Ed McGuinness and Dexter Vines. Wow, this is going back. This is interesting. Some of these may make a good future giveaway. Greg Ruckas and Andy Lanning and who else is this? It's Adventures of Superman. Oh my God, this is a good saga. The penciler is Matthew Clark. It's a Mixed-A-Flick story, of course, Hidden Mischief. But the greater storyline, Firestorm number 9. Wow, this is going back. Because those are the days probably of Infinite Crisis. Superman Strength. And look at that Alex Ross cover, too. What is the source of Superman's strength? I guess we're talking about inner power. Scott McCloud, Scripts and Breakdown. Terry Austin, Inker. Justice League Elite. This is basically an Authority-style Justice League team, and I think a couple of the Justice League members joined these more rebellious characters. And again, they were in the style of the Authority. Wow, I don't even remember this. JSA Strange Adventures number 5. Great cover, though. I was like, I don't remember this story at all. But it looks like classic JSA storytelling, so that's cool. I'm saying a lot. Ultimate Nightmare number 4. Warren Ellis wrote it. Do I remember it? Not at all. Art isn't bad, though. I may have to revisit it in case that was, when the Ultimates were still kind of cool. Batman Superman 16. Again, more time travel shenanigans. Why I have this, I don't know. I've got an old Marvel previews. Too bad it's not one worth something, like the preview of Miles Morales. Ultimates Annual number 1. Featuring an all different team of Avengers. Action Comics. Oh, wow. All right, so I do remember this. Who worked on this? Yvonne Hayes did the art, which is gorgeous. I can't remember who else worked on this book. It's too bad. Anyhow. I don't know which Finn did this. But this storyline for Action Comics, this was finished by a different writer. It started with Chuck Austin. It was really wild and crazy, with like Superman getting his butt whooped. I actually really enjoyed it. It was over the top. But anyhow, I think editorial got like really scared with where he was going, and it was just like, yep, get someone else to finish this book. But like the story was great overall. The again, strong opener, maybe not a strong finish. The artwork is gorgeous. Seven Soldiers Shining Knight #1 by Grant Morrison and Simone Bianchi. Simone's Italian, great artist. This is pretty cool. It's really interesting where I'm just like, I don't know what to expect every time I pick something up. Age of Apocalypse featuring the X-Men. This was like when the Age of Apocalypse anniversary, and they went back, and I don't remember anything valuable coming out of this story. And by valuable, I mean like worth reading. It's just like, okay, whatever, you know. JSA 71, another Jeff Johns. Fantastic Four #16, Ultimate Fantastic Four. And again, this got one of those covers. I hated these covers. These covers were so like easily damaged and stuff. Issue #13 of Ultimate Fantastic Four, I think it's #13, notorious because it was so poorly produced. There are no good copies of it. So if you miraculously have like a really good copy of it, that's actually incredibly valuable, just because they almost all came to print like destroyed. Coffee is my kryptonite. I love this Superman mug. It came from Hallmark. It's a couple years ago. I don't think they make it anymore, but microwave safe, dishwasher safe. I love it. Baby Nacheza and Tom Grummett on the Thunderbolts. I did love me some Thunderbolts. Dan Abney and Andy Lanning with on Majestic. And this was a pretty good series. I really enjoyed this. Majestic is another, what if Superman were this guy kind of story. Ultimates 2, #4 by Millar and Hitch. You know, I gotta tell you, I'm always impressed with it. I'm usually impressed with Hitch's artwork. I think not enough people consider who he's paired with as an artist for how good his work actually turns out. I think a lot of people were like, oh, you have to get used to his art on the new Superman Death of Lex Luthor, but like, no, like I thought the art fits the book and it was wonderful. Reach #3. Reach is like alternate universe Captain Atom. That is literally the only thing I remember about him. And look, it's the DC version of Cobra. Green Arrow #48. Oh, the Judd Winnick run on Green Arrow. So that's interesting. What if Jessica Jones had joined the Avengers? I like how there's no issue number. It's just PSR because it was a one-shot. I really love that. I almost wish they would do that now with one-shots. Same thing. What if General Ross had become the Hulk? Marvel previews for Ultimates 2. This box is crazy. Jeff Johns, Ethan Van Sciver, Green Lantern Rebirth #1. Like, I wish it were in better condition, but like, what is going on in here? X-Men Phoenix Endsong #1. Superman Birthright #12. Which, oh, by the way, if you are reading Death of Lex Luthor, this Superman Birthright series is like a precursor to that series. You could use this as like as a prequel to that book, or so he says. The 2004 official handbook to the Marvel Universe, the Golden Age. And again, like, it's the classic Marvel Universe formatting. That's wild. Wild. All right, I'm like not entirely disappointed by choosing to go through this box and figure it out. This is a planetary trade and like heavily misprinted. Look at that. This is something else. Something else. Planetary was a great series, a Wildstorm series. I think Warren. Who worked on this? It was Warren Ellis. This is a Warren Ellis series. Although, apparently. The House of N sketchbook. The previews for House of M. The previews for Generation M and X-Men Deadly Genesis. What is this box? I can't believe this. JLA Classified number 11. Hawkman 39. Superman 217 with an OMAC tie-in. Marvel Knights Spider-Man by Reginald Hudlin. I really enjoyed Marvel Knights Spider-Man. I think when this storyline came around, where he's basically dealing with Superman-type character that's really a Skrull, it probably fell off. But this was still a fun story. This Skrull had basically like the powers of Superman, plus he shapeshifted. He was raised by a really good family. Like, his parents sent him to Earth in a rocket ship to save him. And like, Spider-Man befriends him a little bit, but he's a really awkward superhero. He has the power to heal, and he ends up just, going off like to another continent, just being a regular dude, being a missionary and healing people. And Mr. Fantastic analyzed him and broke it down that he's a Skrull. They gave him superpowers, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, well, okay, what about his healing power? Right? And he goes, what healing power? He goes, that dude has the power to heal. And he was like really into his faith. So like it's implied that his faith is what gave him that power to heal people amongst all the other amazing things he could do. But yeah, this was quite the storyline. And yeah, Reginald Hudlin wrote this. And Billy Tan was the penciler on most of the series. It's great. I know the first few issues are the most popular. Oh, look, it's Wolverine. Wolverine number 28. And I think this is right after. Yeah, this is like the Hand sends a bunch of dudes that Wolverine was responsible for killing, basically. And they're like, yeah, go get revenge on Wolverine. JSA Classified featuring Power Girl. This was like leading into Infinite Crisis, because Power Girl is always like one of these what is your origin characters. And, she survived Crisis on Infinite Earths, and they just kept rebooting her character, and like this was like supposed to be the beginning of those answers. And then, of course, we find out it's like, nope, the universe just kept trying to fix you because you survived the crisis. All right, now I gotta. Let's reorganize. This is a long box too. It's not even a short box I'm going through. It's just a long box of all sorts of stuff that I have no idea. I thought, and it's funny, I was like, oh, I thought I would have an idea. I have no idea. Everything I pick up is just like completely different. All right, Ultimate Fantastic Four 26. The issue 3 of Batman and Robin the Boy Wonder, the never completed series. It's Frank Miller and Jim Lee, and Frank Miller was like off the rails here, off the rails. And actually, the people who appreciate the series, simply appreciate that it's off the rails. Lex Luthor, Man of Steel #5. Yep, Brian Azzarello. I didn't care for Brian Azzarello on Superman. They gave him Jim Lee to work with, and he just told such a unnecessarily convoluted story. I don't know why. Green Lantern #3, Jeff Johns, Carlos Pacheco. Marvel Knights Spider-Man 17. All right, do I remember the storyline? It's still part of the same storyline. Green Lantern #4. Oh. Teen Titans 27. And hold on, before I show it to you, guest writer Gail Simone, guest artist Rob Liefeld. You know what? I'm gonna put that to the side. Special for me right now. Mark Waid's Legion of Superheroes from the 3 boot. Wizards Book of the Month, by the way. Oh my God, do I know who this cover is by? I feel like I know who the cover is by. Forgive me for not remembering who the cover is by. This was a really solid Legion reboot, and again, with time travel, characters from the future, they never really know what they're doing. Hawkman 47. Superman Shazam First Thunder #3. It's basically Superman and Shazam versus all sorts of, and Judd Winick wrote this, it's just all sorts of mystical Shazam beings. Gail Simone, John Byrne, Action Comics 834, Once Upon a Time on Krypton, and this series introduced the Queen of Dreams, or the Queen of Fairy Tales, the Queen of Fables. That's it. And apparently she had already tormented Krypton, and now she's tormenting Superman. She would then come back and torment the Justice League of America. And then she came back again so she was in JLA. Then she came back again in the Justice League of America. Everything's escaping me this morning. What am I doing? I'm not having enough coffee, apparently. Steve Orlando's Justice League of America. We got a Civil War preview. Steve Iwanen's Flash. This is number 226 of the After Crisis series. It's so funny how there's a battle between people who love legacy numbering because they're so tired of new #1s coming out all the time, which I agree, and the people who wanted legacy numbering to begin with. You know, they're like, no, just tell the story you want to tell, and then that way I know that it's Spider-Man Volume 27, and that's that story. You know, it's like, well, if that's Spider-Man Volume 27, and I want to collect all things Spider-Man, that means I got to hunt down 27 Spider-Man #1s and figure it all out. And yeah, that's what's turning into. Exile 71, and look, the cover is the artwork from that Versus card that I showed you guys earlier. Of course, they reversed the image, but yeah, that's a fun coincidence. OMAC Project #6, which of course ties into Infinite Crisis, and as we learn in this series, Batman's Wayne Industries created the OMAC initiative, and Batman didn't realize how out of control it was getting, because he didn't realize that Maxwell Lord is coercing things all along, or that Brother Eye would become sentient and be like, yeah, I'm gonna send OMACs and just start attacking stuff. Infinite Crisis. Not exactly what the cover implies, but let's just say that people figured out Bruce created the OMACs. Oh my goodness. Catwoman's in this issue. It's crazy. It's a great issue, though. Who did the artwork? I mean, they're fighting Despero. I love that. And it's so funny. The first time Despero showed up, he was just like really small, svelte, mind control alien, and then like he went through this phase of like being physically powerful. Ooh, Green Arrow by Greg Calafiore, number 58, and he's fighting Merlin from the League of Assassins. Hawkman 48 after the Rann Thanagar War. Flash 229. I don't even remember this run at the time. That's Vandal Savage, though, with 2 of the Flashes. Wade's Legion of Superheroes, number 13. Flash, number 230. Action Comics 835. I believe this is the first live wire in a comic. And again, it's Simone and John Byrne. And, it's so funny. They never really told Gail or John what to do with this book. They were just kind of going for it. And I remember John Byrne really, like, he basically likes to draw in ink, which I do not approve of. And I guess he had complained about, who his inker was, which was Nielsen. And let me tell you, that guy is like the sweetest guy ever. And he knows all the things that John Byrne said. And I met him at Wizard World shortly after this, and he didn't care. He's like, I love John Byrne. He's like, John Byrne's amazing. He's a legend. I'm happy I got to do any work with him. I was like, even if he hated everything I did. Spider-Man Marvel Knights number 22, The Other. This is where we get into this mystical origin. Oh, this is Friendly Neighborhoods. Oh, wait, no, yeah. Previously in Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. So The Other pulls from the regular non-Marvel Knights, interesting. But yeah, this whole event was like to tie, Peter being Spider-Man into like mystical origins, and like, I don't know about a lot of you. I'm just not interested in all that stuff with like Moreland and all of that. It's like, whatever. Like, do we need it? The Infinite Crisis number 4. Just gorgeous throughout. And Titans and Doom Patrol and JSA getting ready to fight Superboy Prime. I mean, that's a great issue. I think Jaime makes an appearance there. Judd Winnick's Batman: Grave Consequences. I think this is part of. Yeah, actually, so this is the consequences of Identity Crisis. He has to use Zatanna to find some stuff out because he suspects Jason Todd is alive. And he's like, and she's like, well, why'd you call upon me? He's like, I needed somebody who I knew could do the work. He's like, and I couldn't call on anyone I could trust because he's still pissed to learn about her actions in the past from Identity Crisis, where she, reprogrammed Dr. Light's mind. And by the way, not that I necessarily blame her when you read the storyline. The Thunderbolts, number 8. I think that's the original run. And then Exile 64. And by 64, I feel like the series had lost its steam. Teen Titans, Jeff Johns run, number 24. I really enjoyed the Jeff Johns run. The Final Fall of Hawkman, Jim Palmiotti. This is like towards the end of that Hawkman run. Green Lantern Secret Files and Origins from 2005. It's beat to hell, but I'm sure it's fascinating. Let's see. The focus is on the back. All the Lanterns, Kyle, John Stewart, Hal, Guy. And then the Guardians of the Universe. Oh, Parallax and Kilowog and the Manhunters. And Sinestro. And Mongol! He ends up being a pretty solid Green Lantern villain as well as a Superman villain. Anyhow. Oh, Young Avengers number 4. Wow, this box is crazy. Fantastic Four number 17. Great Lakes Avengers Misassembled number 1 of 4. Exiles number 62. Thunderbolts number 7. Majestic number 4. Marvel Knights Spider-Man number 13. Guess who's coming to dinner? Wolverine. And we all know how he loves a redhead. Watch out, Peter. Reach number 4. Ultimates 2 number 5. Green Arrow 49. Justice League Classified. I can't believe it's not the Justice League. The I Can't Believe It's Not the Justice League series is like a sequel to Justice League Europe, Justice League of America. So if you appreciate Keith Giffen and DeMatteis, Joe Rubinstein's artwork or inking, and who did the art here? Kevin Maguire. Anyhow, this was a fun time, and and I think Guy Gardner still had a Sinestro ring at this time. So it's Flash 207. I'm really trying to go through some stuff here. Wow, Dark Horse Conan number 1. This is a good series. Uncanny X-Men 462. Villains United number 3. Man, I can't hold anything up. This is why I should have reversed. But I don't like the reverse camera. I like people to be able to read what's on the screen. Marvel Knights Fantastic Four number 3. Yeah, this box is just full of mysteries. Wildstorm's Legend number 2. So Legend is like this guy who like did experiments all the time, impregnated his wife, and got this like super strong, super virile kid. And then, that's Legend. Wow. Dan Abbott and Andy Lanning's The Legion. And this is when this is their version of the Great Darkness Saga, which I enjoyed that retelling. There we go. Kurt Busiek and Stuart Immonen's Superman Secret Identity, which this is the story of a Clark Kent who grows up in the real world, knowing he's Clark Kent, knowing Superman is fiction, yet he develops superpowers and falls in love with a Lois Lane. And of course, his existence scares the hell out of everyone. Adventures of Superman 625. This is the Kandor story. I think all the art, or maybe, let's see. I know the covers were Michael Turner, and Michael Turner co-wrote the story. And Jason Gorder did. Talent Caldwell did pencils. Jason Gorder did inks. God, full storyline. Seven Soldiers, The Manhattan Guardian. The New Avengers #4. All right, let's put that in the special pile. Marvel Knights Wolverine #26. Ultimate X4 crossover. New X-Men 153 by Grant Morrison and Scott Silvestri. And we got that crazy version of Future Beast, but he was actually infected by a mutant that's in gaseous form. Kurt Busiek and Fabian Nicieza, Avengers Thunderbolts #1. Jeff Loeb and Ed McGuinness, Batman Superman #6. And this is really interesting stuff. Hero, which was Dial H for Hero, #14. And again, another book that started off strong, and then everyone's interest in it kind of just fizzled out, even though the story wasn't too bad. Jeff Loeb and Michael Turner's Batman Superman #9, which is part 2 of the introduction to Supergirl. I actually have all these signed by Michael Turner. I got them signed at Wizard World, Philadelphia. What do we got here? Wow, Ultimate Fantastic Four #3. Which, of course, their version of Reed Richards became the Maker, and the Maker is currently our main villain in the Ultimate Invasion storyline. Another Age of Apocalypse. Another Age of Apocalypse. But not the original, just that miniseries that took place on its anniversary. Godfall. Which resulted in a Superman enemy because, of course, when he doesn't know who he is in Kandor, he falls in love with someone, and then, of course, he remembers who he is, and, she's unhappy, and she comes back to battle him later. Which, I feel is cliche, and I don't really love those storylines, but, eventually they got her back in place. Reginald Hudlin's Black Panther #2. Again, I wish it was in better condition, but holy cow. There is some stuff happening here. Oh, man. Wizard Magazine #170. Wow. I didn't think I had any Wizard magazines at all left hiding out in my collection, but apparently I do. So good. Wizard magazine was great, and then of course the internet changed everything. And then of course they're revisiting Crisis on Infinite Earths. And DC's making that into an animated movie. I'm not even I'm not even 100% with it. But it is what it is. Wow, so this is a director's commentary that they did with Marv Wolfman and George Perez on Crisis on Infinite Earths. All right, I will gladly reread it in a heartbeat. Wizard Magazine 155 supersized issue. Oh my gosh. It's even got a preview of Green Lantern Rebirth in it. Superman the Sacrifice. This was leading into, again, it's an OMAC tie-in leading into Infinite Crisis. And Wonder Woman snapping Maxwell Lord's neck. Marvel Knights 4, #2. very interesting. Again, I loved how that series began. The opening arc was great. House of M, Incredible Hulk. This is insane. Infinite Crisis #2. And it's funny because he's like all the multiverse origins of Power Girl. And she does encounter Earth 2 Superman here, who is her Superman, her cousin, Kal-El. And of course, little do we know that the real villain is previous hero Alexander Luthor. Oh, Reginald Hudlin's Black Panther #1. So, again, Spider-Man the Other. Part 2, actually. Wow. Oh, Phil Jimenez, Andy Lanning, and Jeremy Cox. Vertigo's Otherworld #2. I would love for this to be completed, or I would love for them to go back to Phil and be like, hey, let's wrap up the story and release a trade. Oh, look, an advertisement for the Green Lantern Corps set for the Versus System card game. Incredible. Incredible. And the Versus System card game still exists now. It's called Versus System 2 PCG. I didn't look at that Twilight experiment. Cool. I didn't care for the new one too much. I could play it, but #1, instead of being collectible, actually, no, it's fine that's not a collectible card game anymore. They made it into a living card game, but they made it more like Magic, where you have to play resources. The beauty of the original Versus game, every single card in your deck was a resource. And, the cards you used for special effects, which were plot twist or locations, you flip them from your resource row. You instead of mana to tap, you would just flip them, right? And they had their own effects. And all you needed was, I have 4 resources in play on turn 4, and I can play a card cost 4 or less. I've got 4 resource points at the beginning of my turn. And it was really that simple. And they had all sorts of great mechanics that worked with the fact that you control the resource row. They turned that into, you have cards that produce different types of, not mana, but basically mana. And I just don't care for it. They just made it more like Magic. And of course they didn't maintain a DC license, so it's only Marvel. And it's fine. And it looks pretty interesting, but it's not the same. And my heart isn't just there with it. Also, the way they abandoned the game, the way they trolled Versus players a few years, particularly on April 1st, I didn't care for that either. The whole thing has left a sour taste with me. But funny that I'm going to open and close with Versus stuff. But I just thought that this would be fun and see what I found, and see what I can remember about any of these books that I didn't even know I had in this box. So thank you for joining me. This was Coffee with Cliff, and let's see if I keep this up. Let's see what I can do with this. So thank you all for joining me.